Have you ever been fingered by a MMA fighter before?
Fingered?
Yeah, fingered.
No.
What would it take?
What would it take to be fingered by an MMA fighter? Have you ever been fingered by an MMA fighter before? Apparently, it would take a chance at defending your heavyweight belt. You listen to what I say here, and it's going to be the most grounded, unbiased opinion. I have no connection with anybody. I'm just a guy sitting in his room making a dumbass podcast for a few people that listen to this, okay? And I'd say I'm pretty level-headed. I can see things pretty clearly. I keep my facts straight. I can distinguish between fact and feeling. Okay, so before I really get into things, I want to get this out of the way right here. I believe Tom Aspinall. I believe that he got poked in the eye pretty bad, and I believe when he said I can't see, that he could not see. Now that raises the question right off the bat right there. Should every fighter want out of a fight if they can't see after an eye poke? That depends on where you are, in my opinion, what you're going into the fight with, in my opinion. In Tom Aspinall's case, the champion, heavyweight champion, all this pressure on him. If he gets beat, John Jones is going to be shitting on him. If he gets beat, so many people are going to be shitting on him. That was on the line. If he wins, holy shit, he is on another planet. In Tom Aspinall's case, you can't see, you get poked in the eye, you say you can't see, and make the doctor stop the fight. Now, if it was the other way around, if Cyril Gane was poked in the eye, and he ended up not being able to see, he wants that belt bad. He knows if he says, I can't see to the ref, the doctor is going to call it off, and maybe he won't get another shot at the title. We saw that with fucking Arman Tsarukyan and Islam Makhachev. Arman Tsarukyan backed out with a back injury, and then they moved on. They moved on from Arman. It's like, now he's fighting Dan Hooker. See, if it was Cyril Gane that got poked in the eye, I would say he should push through the pain and not being able to see, to be honest. And Chael Sonnen came out and said, yeah, typically in our sport, sorry, hold on. No, he said, yeah, typically in our sport, if you get poked in the eye and you can't see, typically you continue on in the fight. Typically in our sport, that's what usually happens. Now, I'm not saying Tom Aspinall is a bad guy. Chael Sonnen said it himself. He said if you get poked in the eye, you move on. But it depends on the circumstances, bro. If you have a lot on the line and you are the champion, don't continue with the fight. Especially because eye pokes are illegal shots. It's a very valid excuse to back out of the fight. Now, to be honest, personally, I would have respected Tom Aspinall more if he said, I can't see, I don't want to continue. I honestly would have respected that so much. Because I think fighters, if they have a real issue and they say outright, I don't want to continue. I can't. I can't compete my best like this. I can't win like this. If they just say it, I'd have more respect for them. They always, when a fighter is fouled, they always, they always avoid saying, I don't want to continue. They always, try to, they always usually play up how bad the injury was and let the ref call it off or let the doctor call it off. That's usually how it goes. And, that's just a fighter's pride getting in the way. I would respect it more if Tom Aspinall just said, I can't see, I don't want to continue. Now, Dana would hate hearing that. That's another thing to consider when you're a fighter. Dana White would hate hearing that. He said he didn't want to continue. That's fucking fucked up. I only sign badass fighters. If you want to find a way out of the fight, you don't fucking belong in this promotion. That's some shit Dana White would definitely say. Dana White was pissed at Tom Aspinall after this fight. Now, okay, I was pissed too. At the time when the eye poke happened, I was saying, oh, God, no, please don't let this be the end. And I was a little mad at Tom Aspinall. But it's like, you can't blame, feelings like that for popping up. When you're a huge fan of the sport, when you love watching the sport, you can't blame being mad at Tom Aspinall. Because we've seen a lot of guys get poked in the eye and continue. Like I said, in this case, it's good he didn't continue. If I was Tom Aspinall, he made the right choice. But, the only person we should be mad at is Cyril Gane. It wasn't intentional. I don't think eye pokes are ever intentional. It was an accident. But, there are a lot of fighters that came out and said, I've competed in all these fights and I've never poked my opponent in the eye. Cyril Gane just has to learn to keep his fucking fist closed, bro. Another point I wanted to talk about. Ariel Helwani was talking about, we need to get rid of this intentional versus unintentional bullshit when it comes to fouls. And I agree with him now. I agree with him. If you foul someone, if you poke them in the eye, if you kick them in the nuts really badly, just take a point away, right away. Unintentional or intentional. Doesn't matter. Take a point away because you did it. And Jim Miller said, that will hold guys accountable. They will, maybe even during training sessions, they will work on making sure they keep their fists closed, even when, trying to gauge distance. I mean, that is a thing that is useful in MMA, especially, we saw John Jones do it. He always put his hand out on guys' foreheads, gauge the distance, always, through an elbow. I mean, it is possible to just put your fist on a guy's damn forehead, but I don't know, it's not you can't get a good grasp on the guy's head. You can't fucking hold their head like a little boy. Anyway, yeah. If you foul someone, boom, take a point. Fuck it. I'm on that boat now. With that said, eye pokes will never be fixed in MMA. DJ said this. He believes eye pokes will always be a part of MMA, and I agree with him. How are people not agreeing with DJ? Yeah, there are fighters that say that they've never poked their opponents in the eyes, but it will always. There are some guys that, like I said, when they gauge the distance, they put their fingers out, and they never mean to poke their opponent in the eye. It just happens, bro. It's always going to happen, even if you implement the 1 point, take a point after the first eye poke. Even if you implement that, they're still going to happen. Even with new gloves, the more curved gloves, it's still going to happen. With the curved gloves, your fingers, are they stay curved like that, but you can still pull your hand out, and your fingers are still pointed out at the guy's fucking face. They can still get him in the eye. You'll never get rid of eye pokes in MMA, and I really believe that. I'm tired of hearing people saying, "How do we fix this issue? How do we fix eye pokes in MMA?" Shut the fuck up! You can't. You'll never fix it. It's always gonna exist. The only thing you can change is, hey, from now on, we're taking a point the first time someone's fingers go in another motherfucker's eyes. That's the only thing you can do. Then maybe guys will be more conscious about keeping their fists closed at all times during the fight. Now, with all that information I gave you, and I told you I believe Tom Aspinall, and, I gave my thoughts on, whether or not he should have continued. He shouldn't have, and I believe that he couldn't see. Now, here's something that went through my mind when the eye poke first happened, and when I was saying, oh, please don't let it end like this, okay? So Tom Aspinall, we all know Tom Aspinall. he is very open about his fear going into fights and his feelings towards his opponents going into fights, that, you know, he's scared shitless of his opponents and to step in the cage with them. We all know this about Tom Aspinall. Gus! He's very open about it, just like GSP was. Talks about, you know, being scared and how... I'm pretty sure, don't take my word on this, but I'm pretty sure Tom Aspinall came out and said something about, you know, when he's in the back getting warmed up, there's always something going through his mind, like, oh God, I hope something happens to so this fight doesn't happen. Something that crossed my mind when he got poked in the eye and was complaining to the ref was that he can see perfectly. We've seen worse eye pokes, let's be honest. And the eye he was complaining about was the eye that didn't look as... like it took an eye poke as bad as the other eye. And then he held the... Chael Sonnen was going on about this too. He held the cloth on his eye for... After the eye poke, that cloth was just glued to his eye. It had an ice cube in it. Just like Dustin Poirier said, the only person that knows exactly what happened and exactly how bad the eye poke is Tom Aspinall. You either choose to believe Tom Aspinall or you choose to not believe him. This is the little sliver in me when it first happened that wasn't believing him. And there's you know, that sliver in me now. That's like, did he just want a way out? Hearing all this shit he says about being scared, did he want a way out of this fight that was pretty even in the first round? They were both getting good shots off on each other. Did he want out of that? He was bloodied up for the first time in the octagon. First round was damn near over, I think. Did Tom Aspinall get that bad eye poke? Whatever way you look at it, it was a bad eye poke. Did Tom Aspinall, was he on the wrong end of a bad eye poke? And did he say to himself, okay, this fight is pretty fucking hard. Cyril Gane's in good shape. I can just hold this ice cube up to my eye and say I can't see, and the doctor will call it off. I will keep my belt. I can have some more time to prepare for this beast that's in front of me. I can get paid to fight him again. And I'll keep all my sponsorships because I'll retain the belt. That's something that went through my mind, and that's probably something that went through a lot of people's minds, including Chael Sonnen's and Anthony Lionheart-Smith's minds. I mean, they came out and said it in the post-fight show. Now Chael Sonnen's like going back on what he said, and he doesn't want backlash anymore. If I could not see, and I had the belt, and I had John Jones looming over me, he's just waiting on my demise. I would not want to continue in a heavyweight title fight if I couldn't see out of one eye. So now we're in a situation where Dana's saying the immediate rematch has to happen. And Dana's saying, yeah, it's a fucking pain in the ass. Dana hates that. Dana loved Tom Aspinall for a long time. Tom Aspinall was the one cooperating. John Jones was the one giving Dana White problems for a while. Dana White loved Tom Aspinall. But then going into this fight, Dana White heard Tom Aspinall's father, Andy Aspinall, talking. Yeah, we're not gonna re-sign with the UFC. I want my son to be a boxing champion. I want my son to be a boxing champion. There's more money in boxing. So Dana White heard that. He started thinking, fuck this fucking family. Fuck these Aspinalls. So that was the first fucking thing that got on Dana White's nerves over Tom Aspinall. And now he hates Tom Aspinall for fucking up this title fight and backing out of the fight because of an eye poke. That's wrong to do. Stand by him, believe him, and build up his next fight. Dana wasn't doing any of that. But he wants the immediate rematch. He wants to close this the chapter on this matchup. He wants this out of the way. And I want it out of the way. I want to see what the fuck happens with... I want Tom Aspinall to win, and I want him to fight John Jones. That's what I want to happen. I want to see this matchup this year, last pay-per-view card of 2025. I want to see it as the last pay-per-view event on ESPN. I want 3 title fights at the end on the last pay-per-view. It's going to be Van and Pantoja. It's going to be Merab and Peter Yan. And then it's going to be Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall. That's where I want to see this fight happen. I want it this year. Now, I want you guys to comment below and let me know what you think about this whole situation. Do you believe Tom? Are you choosing to believe Tom Aspinall, or are you choosing to think he's a liar and a quitter? Either he's in his bed, either he goes to sleep at night thinking, "Oh, I can't believe me eye got poked. I can't believe me eye got poked and I couldn't see and I couldn't finish the heavyweight fight, the heavyweight title fight." Either he's going to bed thinking that, or he's going to bed thinking, "Oh man, I feel so bad for myself for quitting. Oh, why did I quit in that fight against that French motherfucker? Oh, why did I do that? What the fuck was..." Anyway, what do you guys think? Guys, I put a lot of respect on people that have passion for something. I give a lot of respect to people that have a passion that they are actually passionate about. That a passion that they're not just doing or competing in for money. I think Tom Aspinall is a guy that has passion for the sport. There are guys that seem to have gotten into the sport either for money and or fame. And I just can't respect guys like that. And one guy that has recently become champion, before Khamzat fought DDP in what was one of the worst middleweight title fights I've ever seen, and I don't give a damn. That shit was so boring, and Khamzat didn't do anything from the top. Let's see that vicious ground and pound we've seen from you before. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. Khamzat came out before that fight and said, I don't care for title, bro. I don't care for title. I'm doing this for money now. I'm doing this for money now, brother. I don't care for title. Yeah, I don't care anymore, brother. I just want the money. Okay, so first of all, okay, I have respect for guys that have passion and for guys that want to be the best in the world at the sport they compete in. I have so much respect for guys like that. When Khamzat comes out and says, I just compete for money now. I don't care anymore. And title bring me more money, brother. That's the only reason I want title. When he comes out and says that, it's like, bro, I don't give a damn. Like, I heard that and I was like, I just lost so much. I liked Khamzat a lot. I thought he was one of the guys that, you know, really wanted to be the best, really wanted to just put all this work in to be the best, to see how far he could get in the sport. I thought he was one of those guys until he came out in that recent interview and said he just wants, he's just in it for the money now. And yes, once you achieve everything you wanted, yes, then go on and say, yeah, I'm just doing it for the money. But Khamzat didn't yet get to the belt. Did he enter the sport thinking, yeah, I'm just going to put all this work in so I can make a shit ton of money, get to the UFC belt, and then just keep making money like that because fuck it. Yeah, I'm just going to do it for the money. Is that why he entered the sport? If so, that's fucked to me. And again, this is just my opinion. I don't care if you agree or disagree. You can be out there and say, hey, it's fair for guys to enter the sport and just want money out of it. You can think that. I don't care if someone comes out and just says flat out, they're not doing it to be the best. They're not doing it because they're really passionate about it. I'm gonna lose respect for them. And another guy that said this is Kevin Holland. That now I'm thinking about Kevin Holland and whether or not he's on my shit list or not. Because he came out in an interview saying he doesn't give a damn about the title. He just wants to compete and put on good performances. I don't know if he ever spoke on. You know what? Fuck. Okay, see, now I'm going back on my shit. I was kind of mad at Kevin Holland for saying that, but now that I think about it, maybe he has passion for the sport. But then again, I want guys to want to be the best in the world. Those are the guys that I respect the most. Does anybody else relate to that? Because when I was competing in a sport in high school, I wanted to be the best. I was striving to be the best, to be as good as I could be. And I mean, yeah, I didn't give a fuck about money. I never thought of like, hey, I just want to do this for money. I never thought like that. I always just wanted to compete because I loved competing and I wanted to be the best. Kevin Holland and Khamzat are just two guys that I can remember off the top of my head that I know that they've spoke on. Yeah, I don't care about being best, brother. I don't care about belt. I don't. Okay, and getting the belt and being the best are synonymous. Okay, let's just make that clear. Damn, fuck. See, now I'm going back on my shit, and usually I would take this portion of this podcast and make a clip out of it, but I'm not making a clip out of this shit. Because this shit has way too many fucking holes in it. And here's another person that... Oh, God. I was thinking about Sage Northcutt and Paige Van Zandt a lot lately. Back in the day, some of you might remember, the UFC signed around the same time this kid named Sage Northcutt and this girl named Paige Van Zandt around the same time. This guy... Sage Northcutt looked handsome as hell. He was ripped. He looked like a Ken doll. This girl, Paige Van Zandt, was really pretty. Had a nice body. She looked like a Barbie doll. They were pushing these two so hard. I don't know if I've seen the UFC push two people as a pair so as hard as they push these two. Sage Northcutt and Paige Van Zandt. And speaking on people that aren't passionate about the sport, Paige Van Zandt, I lost a lot of respect for Paige Van Zandt. Sure, she liked the sport. She got into it because maybe she was she was okay at it. She wanted to keep going with it, and she wanted to become an MMA fighter, see where it took her, see if she could make some money out of it. Once she realized she could leave the sport and make more money on Instagram than I could fighting for the UFC. Once she realized she didn't have to fight anymore after the UFC gave her the platform to be popular on Instagram, she was out of there. See ya. I'm going on Instagram and, doing some dances. I'm going on Instagram and getting naked. Oop. Now, you do you, again, but I just lose a lot of respect for people that get into the sport, get into the UFC, the highest level, and don't see it through and don't want to get to that belt aren't doing everything to get to that belt. Like, have some respect for the sport. Once you had another channel to go down and make more money, you were out. You said, yeah, fuck that belt. I didn't care about it anyway. Fuck it. I just want the money. Now again, yes, money is important. Money helps a lot. See, I'm just not someone that cares a lot about money for some. I've never cared a lot about money. Passion is important to me. I don't respect Paige Van Zandt for just leaving like that. But anyway, yeah, so Paige Van Zandt and Sage Northcutt, they were being pushed hard by the UFC for so long. They desperately wanted these two to succeed. Gave them matchups that, they believed they could win. They wanted to build these two up to be, the faces of the UFC. In the UFC's mind, they were thinking, these two, just imagine, Sage gets to the championship belt. Paige gets to the championship belt. They're both champions. We put Sage as a headliner, Paige as a co-headliner. Oh my God, I'm about to bust. That's what the UFC want. They wanted that so badly. And Paige and Sage, their names both rhyme. And what happened to Paige and Sage? They both fell the fuck off. If there was a cliff, this is like a crazy fall off, bro. That they just started losing pretty badly. Their records were pretty rocky near the end there. From what I can remember. I'm just going off the top of my head here. Once their careers started to not play out how the UFC really wanted, the UFC was like, fuck, we gotta keep the integrity of the sport. We can't hold on to them too long. If they start really fucking up, we just gotta let them go. Fuck. I wanted them to be champions. I wanted to put them both on a card together, headliner and co-headliner. Fuck. Damn it. The UFC wasn't gonna up their pay after having, rocky records. I'm pretty sure they're still in good standings with the UFC. I mean, Paige Van Zandt came back and performed in Power Slap. I don't know what Sage is doing now. He was signed by the GFL and that fell through. Who knows what exactly they're doing now, but I was just thinking about that lately. The UFC was so hype about these two, and then, their plans went to shit. They were so broken up about that shit. I'm gonna skip over comment reading for today. I did get a lot, but I made a clip of Francis Ngannou, and there are a lot of racist comments in it, especially on Instagram. Dude, I was just putting out kind of facts about what's going on with the Francis Ngannou situation. I like Francis still, but I was just saying, I said something in the clip. I said something like, I feel like the world has forgotten about Francis, and that's just how I feel. And then people, other than that, everything else was just me stating facts and things that have happened recently with Francis and the PFL and Dana White. And then people are like commenting saying, like, say, slavery's over, buddy. Like, hey, another white boy talking shit about not wanting a black man to succeed. Like, come on. Get the fuck out of here with that. I hate seeing that shit. I'm skipping comment reading for today. Plus, I don't know. I just don't feel like reading comments, to be honest. The last thing I wanted to talk about that's been on my mind, because that's what we do on this podcast. I just talk about things that have been on my mind, is the worst fight in UFC history. And there are a few fights people can point to and say that was the worst. Damian Maia versus Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero. But the actual worst fight in UFC history was Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza 2. Worst fight ever. You gotta be shitting me. If you come out and tell me, nah, that wasn't the worst fight ever, you're wrong. Buddy, There is no way you can argue that this is not the worst fight ever. There were like 2 significant strikes thrown combined. It was just so mind-boggling to me how neither of these women, who I usually like to watch, especially Rose, she has some great highlight finishes. It was mind-boggling that neither of these women wanted to throw any punches or kicks. And I think a lot of it had to do with they both had way too much respect for each other. They knew each other personally. They both competed on a season of The Ultimate Fighter together. And, you know, when that comes into play, it's always difficult. But, I mean, we saw Kamaru Usman TKO Gilbert Burns, and they were close. I mean, it's hard to separate the sport from personal feelings. It's hard. It was incredible the amount of boos that were going on during the fight. And it was for a championship. And Carla Esparza came out on top. I'm just going to say Carla Esparza was never... Carla Esparza... She's good, okay? She's good. But I think she had a lot of luck come into play in her career. And gaining the belt back after losing it in the past, just another lucky thing that happened in her career. I'm going to be honest. This was one of the hardest fights to judge, too. The judges in attendance and fans watching around the world, they didn't know who to give it to. Shit, I was just going to say, let's not raise either one of these women's hands. Let's raise the ref's hand. Fuck it. The ref wins. And I don't even know why. But I don't see how either one of these women won. It was just so incredible how unentertaining and boring this fight was. Mind-boggling, earth-shattering, unbelievable, preposterous. See, if I was a judge, I would have scored it for the ref. I would have crossed out whatever I put on the scorecard. I would have just wrote in the ref's name as the winner. The ref had more action than either one of these 2 women in the octagon. Let's be completely honest here. Got more of a workout in the octagon than either of these 2 women in this fight. And again, I respect these 2 women, but this fight was crazy. When you're competing in a sport that is watched by millions of people, I mean, you can't do that. Even if it's a friend you're competing against. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're actually watching these all the way through, I thank you so much. If you enjoy my content, if you find me entertaining, I thank you so much. I mean, I feel like I'm somewhat entertaining, but that's just me. I'm biased. I've always thought I was the shit from a young age. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but if you enjoy me, I thank you. If you watch this far and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please like the video. Ding that notification bell. I want to include the people that are watching here. I want to include them in discussions going forward. Leave a comment. I'll read your comment in the next video. Or leave a comment in one of the shorts I posted. I'll read it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.